Hello everyone, this is Amon. In this tutorial, we're going to learn how we can connect a Cisco router to the internet. In our topology, this is our local area network, and this is a router which we have just purchased, and we want to connect this router with the internet service provider, which is represented here as a crowd that is connecting us to the internet. And this is our server, Google DNS server. So I'm using VirtualBox computers, and this presents my host computer. Let me power this on. As it is powering on, let me keep explaining what we're going to cover in this tutorial. We're going to have a basic configuration of a router, assigning it with a host name, enable secret or password, line console password, line v2i password, service password encryption, banner MOTD, identifying ports and assigning it with IP addresses, enabling dynamic host control protocol DHCP, giving it a default IP route, network address translation NAT, and verifying connections. Let me check. Okay, they're still loading. These are the virtual machines running Windows XP. We can now verify these machines, their IP addresses. cmd ipconfig release. We just want to be sure on the IP addresses. Release ipconfig renew. You can see it's trying to find a DHCP server. It's sending the request, but there's nothing, no DHCP server around which is responding to our query. So that will take a while because there's no any DHCP server. But what we need to do, also configure this with a DHCP, so this can be giving up all IP addresses to all the host computers in our network. So let's get started configuring our router. First, we need to give it a host name. So when we are in this exec mode, we need to go into the global configuration mode by typing the config terminal, and there we can start configuring our device. So we say host name, let's give it BTCS as our company name, and we need to give it an enable password or secret, but I recommend you that you should be using the enable secret because its level of encryption is level 5, and it's hard to be decrypted than the level 7 passwords. So when you say enable secret and give it Cisco as our password, and let's we'll explain this later, and let's configure the line console, line v2i, and service encryption will be done later, just to show you the difference between the enable secret and the enable password, or anything that is configured with the password. But there are also a few commands that are very important that we need to be putting in our configurations, like the no IP domain lookup. This will help you that when you make a mistake in your syntax of a command, the router won't be requesting the domain servers that are around your network. So that is very important to be put in our configuration. So let's go on the line console 0, and let's give it a password Cisco login synchronous. This will help us that we shouldn't be affected by the rogues when you're typing our configurations. Yeah, and say no exec timeout, transport output, output. Oh, I think that's okay for the basic configuration. And line VTY, some of the routers can have 0 to 4, but some will have 0 to 15. This is the number of the line, the telnet lines that a person persons can be logging into the device for configuration. So when you're saying 0 to 15, that means we are having 16 VTY lines that 16 people can be connected to the router at once, making some changes. So we say 0 to 15 and we give it a password. Cisco logging synchronous, transport input, let's put telnet exit. Yeah, we have done the enable secret, the line console, line v2i. And now let's go, before we go on the service password encryption, let's go on the show run so that we can see why I was recommending to use the enable secret and the enable password. Yeah, as we can see, the enable secret is a level 5 type of encryption. As you can see, this type of encryption will be very hard to be decrypted than the level 7 type of encryption, which is the password. And now when we go down here to the lines, as you can see, the line console 0, the password is Cisco. This comes in clear text, and when you learn this service password encryption, that means it would crypt all the passwords which has been given in your configuration. So say service password encryption. Yeah, by that command, that means we were trying to decrypt this. So let's see how that has taken its magic. So let's do show run just to verify the difference, or to verify the magic that the service password encryption has done to our configuration. Yeah, and now you can see now our encryption has taken place, the level 7 and is encryption, but this can easily be blacked. So that's why I recommended you to be using the secret. So let's proceed and by putting a banner MOTD, banner message of the day. This helps your router to have like a banner before everybody logs in. So have a banner, so you put a message that you want to tell to the person who is trying to log in. So let's say banner MOTD. Yeah, so you can just do anything, you can just slide any message, you can do whatever you want. So this is a secure network. No unauthorized login. Here I can do that. This is just a simple message that we're trying to let a person have when he or she is trying to log into our system. Yeah, so we've configured the banner MOTT. And another important command that we need to be doing over and over again in our configuration, when we know that we've done things right, we need to be saving the configuration. So when you exit, you can say write memory, or else there are several ways how you can be saving your configuration. The right memory will save it to nvram, or even when you say copy learning config, startup config, that will do the very same thing, but it will ask you to give a name to your configuration, but just hit enter. It will do the same thing. It will write into the nvram. Let's try to exit. Okay, what I wanted to try was the message banner MOTT. That means a person who want to get into our system will be getting a message that was configured in the banner MOTT. This is a secure network to no unauthorized login. So we need to put a password. So we know that we said our password is Cisco, and when we do that, we see that we get into our router. So let's continue our configurations. Another thing that is very important, we need to identify which port is this and where is it connected to. And as you can see here, we're having two connections that we need to have to our router. The first one, which is connecting us to our internet service provider for internet access, and the other one, which is connected to our local area network for our hosts. So as you can see here, we have used the serial connection to the internet service provider, and here we have used a fast Ethernet port for our local area network. So we have identified that this is using the serials and this is using the fast Ethernet. So let's go by having a look on the interfaces that are available in our router. Show IP interface brief. We'll see that this router is only having two ports, the fast Ethernet 0/0 and the serial 0/0. So we know that the serial is connected to the internet service provider. So let's get into the config mode and go into that serial port, serial 0 interface serial 0/0, and let's assign it with an IP address as it is as what we've been given by the internet service provider. So we know that this is the IP address, but it's taking this number because this is the network and this is the first and this is the last, and the /30 prefix, which will have two valid IP addresses. So say IP add 41.221.111.202, and you know our prefix, the 2 at the /30, that means it's a 252 at the end. And when you hit enter and no shut, so that we can enable the port, you see a message coming verifying that the port is up, and we can even try to verify if we are able to get to our internet service provider by running the do ping 41.221.111.201. I'm unable to go there. Yeah, I made a mistake in the ping, the IP address. Yeah, let me just correct there. 221.3.1.202. Yeah, as you can see there, it's successful. So that means the internet service provider, the link is okay. Now let's configure our interface, which is the inside interface. the interface first Ethernet 0/0, and let's give it an IP address which is right here, the private connection, the private IP address 192.168.1.1 as assigned here, the first number in that network, which is our router. So we'll give it a mask /24 prefix, which is the slash the .0 at the end, and let's land in a sharp command to enable the port. Yeah, a message will come again verifying that the port is now up. But still, from our computers here, if you can go and land the IP config, you see that they're still having those auto configuration of IP addresses, and we are even unable to ping even our router, because this has no IP address in that network. And even if you try to ping to our destination where we want our internet, we see that the destination host is unreachable. So we have done that, and now we need to enable the DHCP so that all the hosts in this network can have IP addresses. So let's go there and then louder again to enable that. Exit. So what we need to do first, we need to exclude IP addresses. So say IP DHCP excluded addresses 192.168.1.1 to 192.168.1.10. This means we are excluding IP addresses from 1 to 10, and the excluded IP addresses can be done maybe for a reason that you need to reserve them for some other important issues, like some servers in your network, like printers and anything that you really need them to have an IP address that will not be given out to any host in your network. So you can reserve number of them for such issues. So when you exclude that, and you can now go ahead and create your pool, IP DHCP pool, and you give it a name. So this is our campaign, so we put that name as our DHCP pool. And now we need to configure the DHCP pool by giving it a network, and we already know that our network is 192.168.1.0 and a prefix of 24. Some routers will accept this as valid and some will not, so you need to put the mask properly. So you say 255.255.0 and give it a mask. And now you need to give it a default router, so you give the IP address of the router .1.1 and you give it DNS servers, so that it can be looking into the domain name services for access, so they on the like the websites and everything. So say 192.168.1.1, you can give it for the louder, you can give it louder, and you can even put, if you're having some DNS servers in your network, you can put those. And now we're putting this Google DNS server, and we can even put that. Yeah, like 3 of them can be okay to the configurations of the IP address, TCP/IP. So we say that is okay. We have given it a network, we've given it a default router, its mask, and we have given it the DNS servers. So let's exit. The moment we are exiting, it's like we have enabled the DHCP to take place. So if you can go there to say IP config renew, you see that you have an IP address assigned. Yeah, as you can see right there, 192.168.1.1 with this prefix, with this mask, the prefix 24 has been given there. I'm using avast, so it does that to alert us that we are connected to a certain network. So if we can learn the IP config, or we can verify even the DHCP, the DNS servers, the DHCP server. As you can see now, this is the IP addresses that has been assigned, and its mask. And we can see that this is the default gateway which we're given it here, and this is the DHCP server, which is the router is now learning that DHCP server. And the DNS servers, we have said that this is the first one, the second one, and the third one, as it is indicating here that the first, second, and third. Even if you can go to our local computers, which are in the virtual machines on our virtual box, and when you say IP config, we can see that this has been given an IP address. Yeah, the very same thing has happened with that. And let's go again here and let's try that. IP config. Yeah, you see that's got an IP address again. But if we can try to ping the 4.2.2.2, you see that what is replying is the DNS, the router, which is saying that the destination host is unreachable. The router doesn't know yet how to get to this, so we need to configure that to verify the connection again later so that we can get connected there. So these has got their IP addresses, and now as you can see here, we have done that, and now we need to give it a default IP route. So the default IP route will take any traffic that it doesn't know in this network. You'll be throwing it out to the internet service provider. So how we configure that, we need to, we do it like this: IP route 0.0.0.0, meaning any IP address which is having any subnet mask should be given to the internet service provider. 201. This is our next hop. Sometimes you can give it this name, or else you can just point it to the port which is connected to the internet service provider, but I would prefer using the IP address. So we say that this is 41.221.311.201, which is this port now. So we say enter. That means we have given it a default port, but are we able to get to the destination that we are looking for? No, we're still failing. But if we can try to ping our router interfaces, we'll see that we'll be successful. If you say ping 41.221.311.201, we will not be successful because that is out of our network. But if we try to ping our router interfaces like the 202, we see that we are able to ping here. We are able to ping from one of these machines, or all of these machines. They'll be able to reach this point, the 202, but they are unable to reach to the 201. I've just verified that. Verify while this successful. So we need to use the network address translation. So this can be configured as in an access list. So we say IP access list standard, and we give it a name, NAT inside. You can give it any name, but I've decided to use this NAT inside. So we say permit my network, so give it our network IP address 168.1.0, which is this one. So we are permitting anything in my network to 245. So this is a woodcast bit, and this simply means wherever there is a 0, it has to be of that. So it has to be 192.168.1. This is what this means. But on the 255, it means anything that can come here should be netted out. So that's what that means. So when you do that, we can exit, and we need even to enable the NAT in our port interfaces. So first we need to identify the ports, which is your inside and which is your outside. So we can see that this is inside of our network and this is outside of the network. I've just made a mistake, but it would have been better if we started enabling NAT on the interfaces, but still this will be okay. So we say interface fast Ethernet 0/0 IP NAT inside. We have enabled that, and when we go again in interface serial 0/0 IP NAT outside, exit. And now we need to run our last command, but before we run that command, let's go and verify again the connection. Are we able to go to 2.2.2.2? No, we are failing to get there. So let's learn an extended ping so that we can verify the NAT. So let's learn our last command on the NAT to apply it on the interface where the NAT should be NATed out. So I say IP NAT inside source list, and now we need to get the name that we given to our NAT. So we say this is the name, right? Yeah, let's just copy it and paste there, and this should be NATed to an interface 0/0 and we say override. Yes, interface serial 0/0 override. Yeah, I was just verifying. In a little time, you see that when the NAT is applied, you see that we'll now be able to reach there. Let's just wait for a second or a little while. You see there. Yeah, just a moment, this has changed to up and the connection is now up. You can see now we can even verify from the other machine. Let's try to ping the other IP address from the internet service provider, which we are failing to get there. Yeah, you see that it's successful. Even if I try to use my host computer, if I try to use this machine, yeah, you see I am able to go there. And we even did a lot of configurations in our connection. So now we are now verifying that by pinging this, pinging that, and now let's just try to verify the line VTY port. So let me use my host computer to see if I'll be able to get into this router to configure it. So we say telnet 192.168.1.1. Yay, I'm able to go there. So this is the banner MOTD, and this says this is a secure network, no unauthorized login. Password? Do you have a password? Yes, I have it. It's Cisco. Yeah, you can see there, and you can even learn the show learn command just to verify our configuration. So you see we're having an enable a secret, which is our password that we put there. You can see that let me just drag this a little bit so that we can have enough. Yeah, and learn it again. Yeah, you can see that we're having the host name that we configured, the enable secret, and we're having the we configured to have no IP domain lookup. We say that we should have an IP DHCP excluded address, that range, and this is our pool, our network mask, router, default that is the default gateway, and our DNS servers. Yeah, we have configured our IP addresses, and we have configured NAT on the interface. And here we have configured an IP address and configured NAT, and we're having now our IP NAT, which is applied to the serial port, taking our NAT, our permitted IP address of network IP address from that access list has been allowed to go out on this port, the serial 0/0, and we're having our IP route, which is a default one that is taking us to the internet service provider, and this is our access list that we have permitted the network to be nutted out. Yeah, and now this is our banner MOTD, which is right here, and we have configured the line console. We configured the password, we said login the synchronous, the transport output, and all those, even in the line VTY. Thanks for watching this tutorial. You've been with me, Charles Amon.